Hi everyone, welcome back to the Sandy Trail. We are in the middle of episode 6 of season 2. We are at the 20th minute mark. We will talk about some scene between the 20th and the 30th minute mark. After this video, there will only be 2 parts left, and then we are done with season 2 of Sanditon reviews. Before we continue the episode, I'm going to talk about YouTube. If you have been consistent to my channel and have been watching all the season 2 reviews, which I appreciate your time and support, you might have noticed that I uploaded the first part of episode 6 review like 5 times. I lost count after 5 times. The first time I uploaded, as usual, I've been consistent with how I edit these reviews, and especially with the clips from the episode. The first 2 days, nothing happened. It was smooth sailing, and then after the first 2 days, YouTube blocked my video entirely. Usually, since the beginning, they'll be like, okay, we have no problem with your video, or the other case would be, we do have a problem, we see some copyright material, but you still can upload the video, which I didn't mind. I had to deal with it anyway. But episode 6 is giving me the most frustration ever since my journey here on YouTube. And I don't understand. I haven't really changed much. I'm wondering if it's the music, and maybe because it's the last episode of season 2 before the new season comes, so maybe there's some open ears around YouTube, oh, you can upload these video, you can have these scenes in, we're gonna block you. I don't know what's wrong with episode 6. I know there's a legal side of YouTube, and I try to respect that. I don't want to get into legal trouble, but it's just annoying me so much that other fans upload scenes and do these couple fan videos, and they be able to upload these with no blockage. So it really frustrated me. So after that first upload, I tried to dispute it, but BBC Studios rejected my dispute. Before episode 6, anytime I had an issue, I always dispute it, and PBS usually the one that reads my dispute, and then they allow me to continue what I'm doing on my channel, which I appreciate so much, and I'm grateful for that, because this is how I do it. This is how I do my reviews, and I'm not changing that. And then the second time, I edited, uploaded, block again, third block, fourth block, and then the 5th time on Thursday night, February 16. Today is Friday, so last night, I uploaded it for the 5th time. Every time they block it, always a different time frame within my video where they hash the copyright material. So I just follow, what they want me to do, but then they would hash something else in a different part of the video, and it's getting really tiring. So I disputed this video for the second time at the 5th upload of the same video. I just switch things around, but it's still the same content. So I'm sorry to those who got confused over that, or wondering what's going on with Joanna's channel. I really didn't want you guys to think I'm annoying, but that what have been going on. And if BBC Studios hear me right now, please, let me finish season 2. I don't know what your problem is, but getting ridiculous. The second dispute letter that I'm still waiting for a response on the first part video for episode 6, I released it. I was so mad at this point right now. I was so mad last night. I'm you gotta be kidding me. I don't know what I'm doing wrong, but I'm pretty sure I'm doing this form of the dispute form like correctly and being honest with what it's about and telling them like you have other people like kind of like doing the same thing as me, like pulling clips from the episode. So like you should let me continue my journey on this sandy trail. So yeah, it really annoyed me, and I'm trying not to be rude to anyone, but I'm really annoyed at BBC Studios, and I'm hoping this dispute case will be falling into the hands of PBS, because they have been really cool about my channel, and they're like, you know, like just let Joanna do her thing. And I tried to like be respectful, like you can keep the copyright claim on my video, but just allow it to be viewed to the public. Like don't block it. Like I worked so hard on these videos. I mean, I make time for it. I work at home still, which is really cool, and I managed to find time, whether during my break or at night. Lately, nighttime is really working well for me, even though I'm tired. So I work really hard on it, and yeah, they just don't understand that, you know? So hopefully my frustration letter works the second time, and if it doesn't, I'm gonna go again and again and again and again and again. So this video, part 3, it would definitely be shorter. We probably only have like 5.5 minutes of clips from the episode, because nothing much really happened between the 20th and the 30th mark of episode 6 of season 2. So this this video better work on YouTube. Like YouTube, like you better like leave me and my channel alone. So that's my rant. Thank you for listening. If you like quit on me while I'm ranting, whatever, but no, this is my honesty. This is my true frustration, and if you have any tips, let me know. YouTube always block my comment section below. I don't know why, but I try to keep checking on the newer videos and making sure that the comment section below is still open. If you have any tips, let me know, or tweet me, or direct message me on Twitter. My Twitter is in the description box below as well. So yeah, so that would have been happening for the past a week and a half with YouTube doing these episode 6 reviews. But this video should be no problem, because we don't really have much content, and I try not to have many parts. Like, I feel bad, like, you know, having like 7 parts to every review. There's so many things to talk about as well at the same time, but I'm trying to keep it 5 parts to episode 6 reviews. So after this one, there should only be 2 more, and then we're done, and I will continue. I'm not giving up. I will continue to season 3 later this spring.
I was beginning to fear you would not come.
Are you sure you still wish to marry me?
Alrighty, I'm gonna try to make this quick. Locke is waiting for Georgiana to arrive with her bag. They both agree to take off and leave Sanditon together as a couple. Locke, he was nervous. He thought that she had second thoughts, that she might change her mind. You can see the way on her face, like the way she looked on her facial expression. She was like studying him, like she was just like testing him, and she questioned him, like, do you really want to marry me? She had that prepared expectation of, yeah, like this might be a breakup between us, this might be something that she didn't want, but unfortunately she had to protect herself. That's number one. She had to protect herself and her fortune, and she really need to make sure that she is marrying the right guy that is not going to take advantage of her and her money.
Given that I am the mulatto daughter of a slave who conspired to claim the fortune of a white man who is not even my father, That was your argument, was it not?
Lockhart was starting to get confused about the way that Georgiana approached him and started to question him, his intention of marrying her, and she continued her defense against him, talking about what they have discussed since the beginning of the relationship, her money, her heritage, who her parents were, and like how and why she became this rich young lady that has all the fortune from a white father.
Georgiana.
That because you are his nephew, you have a greater claim to my fortune than I.
In today's time, hitting your husband would have been yuck, disgusting, not normal, right? So I was wondering if Georgiana had a moment to herself, like, I can't believe he's my cousin, like, I fell for him, we hit many times. But what a twist, what a big reveal. I did not expect that when I first watched this episode last year, and I kind of forgot about it until now. I'm like, oh my goodness. That sucks though. They had great potential, like, they could have been a really decent couple, but their husband, like, oh. But good for Georgiana, she knows the truth, and she saving herself right now, like, you know, saying no to him to protect herself and her fortune. What Sydney did in Antigua and finding out about Charles Lockhart, I hope it brought some comfort to Georgiana, letting her know that, hey, Sydney did care for her, that he truly cared for her. He did not try to take advantage of her. He cared for her in a way that he wanted to protect her and her money. And hopefully, you know, that brought some comfort and a good feeling to her that Sydney was never a bad guy. So hopefully she become a little bit more appreciative of Sydney and what he did for her before he died.
May we talk apart?
This was always your plan. Your suit had failed, so you thought to gain my money by marrying me. Is any of it real?
Tom and Mary Parker, the look on their faces was not a great one. After his facial expression was looking more furious. Georgiana is like his best friend, and what Lockhart did, like after like you and me, bud, like our romance, our friendship is way over now. They are very protective of Georgiana, and it's really sweet to see that. And they became more protective of her, especially after Sydney's death. And that shows that they care and respect Sydney as who he was and how he was a guardian to Georgiana. So they accepted the transfer of responsibilities from Sydney after he died to take care of Georgiana. And having them being there in this moment is a sign of support, and it's just really nice that Georgiana have some older adults in her life that really care for her and that want to protect her and her fortune and want to make sure that she gets married to the best guy that she will ever know in her life. Lockhart, he tried to defend himself. He tried to have a better place, a private moment to talk to Georgiana so no one is watching, especially the Parkers. He's starting to feel a bit embarrassed. The truth is coming out, you know, when you lie to someone and someone catches you and you lie, like, it's not the best situation to be in.
Yes. The more I have grown to know you, the more I've come to ardently admire you. Things needn't change. We can still marry, still travel the world.
Georgiana is not trusting every word that is coming out of his mouth. Even if he tried his best, tried to convince her, persuade her that he did fall for her and that his feeling for her was true. He tried to persuade her, tried to like grab her hand, like convince her, like, hey, like I did fall for you, and she stepped away. She didn't believe him, and that is a physical sign. The way she stepped away, back away from him, it proved evident that she is not believing him anymore. She began to not trust him before this conversation happened. She very protective of her. She really needs to guard her heart, and I'm pretty sure she doesn't want to get hurt again, but unfortunately she is feeling the hurt because she did find out the lies from Mary and Tom, and Lockhart, didn't come to her truthfully. So yeah, she going through a little breakup right now.
Can you honestly say that you would rather remain here in this stifling place with these preposterous people?
We may be preposterous, Mr. Lockhart, but we are honest and sincere.
The way that Georgiana turned around to the Parkers, like they still there to support her just in case if anything happened or if she needs them to come to her rescue. But also the way she turned to the Parkers, like it kind of like giving her assurance, like, hey, like don't let him persuade you to leave Sanditon. Like you belong here in Sanditon. You don't deserve to be with this guy. And I think having the Parker family there give her confidence that she should follow her heart and stay in Sanditon and not to trust this guy and go off with him. Bad idea, talking bad about the Parker family. This just showed that Lockhart truly doesn't have respect for the Parker family that is taking care of Georgiana. I think it will become important when Georgiana marries a man, like that man not only needs to respect her and her money, but also to respect her guardians, because they are like her parents, they watch over her and protect her. So Lockhart, he doesn't belong here. He really doesn't belong here anymore. He being really rude now, like the way he raised his tone and talking bad about the Parker family. Like he didn't have to mention them in this conversation. He could have just habit about him and Georgiana and the relationship. So that was a bad call on Lockhart's part, but I'm glad that Arthur stood up and defended his family and put Lockhart in his place, because Lockhart was the one that did this huge mistake of not being his true self to them since the beginning.
These people have shown me a kindness a man like you could never understand.
Leave, Mr. Lockhart. Now.
Finally, Lockhart is leaving. After what happened, like, he deserved to go. But I think he might be back though. I read an article one time that this is not the last of him. So if he does come back in season 3, I'm just wondering what the story will be about. The only thing that I can think of is that he come back for like a lawsuit or a legal battle in court against Georgiana over the claim of the family fortune. Will he get a second chance at love with Georgiana? I think that's impossible by the way the scene happened. But there's always that possibility that Arthur can be like the second runner-up. Georgiana was always interested in having Arthur be her future husband. She admires him. She respects him. He respects her. They are the greatest friends. Like their friendship, I think, is tighter than Charlotte and Georgiana. It's a very nice friendship to see in Sanditon, and Arthur and Georgiana can transform the friendship into a romantic relationship. I do see that potential. Let me know if you want Arthur and Georgiana to happen, or if she should be with a different guy. Season 3 would be an interesting storyline for Georgiana love life. Okay, breaking news. In the middle of this, I found out that the first and second part of episode 6 review are now back on my YouTube channel. Viewed to the public. There is no blockers, everyone can see it. So good news. And PBS reviewed it this time and they allowed it. So shout out to PBS.
I've been considering which punishment best fits your crime.
I will spare you the trouble. I assume I'm banished forever.
It feels so good, guys. Like, I can focus and relax on the rest of this review and the next two parts. The way that Lady Denham is talking about Edward's punishment, it proves to me that she is respecting Esther's wishes. Esther did not want Clara to suffer the consequences of what happened. So Lady Denham is not even bother punishing Clara. So that's cool. Like, she honored Esther's wishes. But now it's on Edward. He deserved to be banished from Sanditon once again. But he is one of the main characters of the show. So he gonna stick around one way or another.
What is the point in throwing you out when you will only return like the bad penny you are? So, instead, I propose a vigorous program of reform.
That reminds me of what happened at the end of season 1. Remember when Edward interrupted Sydney's proposal moment with Charlotte, and he interrupted the crowd at the ball and embarrassed Esther and Lady Denham in front of the public, and Lady Denham told him to get out, and she asked Sydney for help and to make sure that Edward leaves town and never come back. So she already knew that if she does kick Edward out, like, he's gonna keep coming back, like, one way or another. He's not going to give up. So she's just like, you know what, let me think of a tougher, harsher punishment for the kid.
You will submit to hard labor, religious instruction, and whatever daily humiliations I can devise.
Interesting program that she wanted to implement on Edward and his recent behaviors and action. I think the religious instruction part, I was just like, he's not a religious guy. Like, I don't think he, like, go to church. Like, I don't think he interested in anything to do with the church and religion. But Lady Denham very convinced, very determined to make sure that Edward learns his lesson. And it's really sad at the same time. He's a grown man, right? Like, doing these things, like what he did to Esther and Clara and Lady Denham, at the same time, it's just so boyish. Like, grow up. Like, be a man and own your mistake and learn from it and move forward and be a better person. But no, he's the type of guy that needs someone to push him around and to guide him to do the right thing. And if no one, like, help him out or watch over him, he's just gonna get worse and worse and he will be a mess. So, like, part of it, like, he's lucky to have an aunt that still here for him, but at the same time, like, want the best for him. And sometimes wanting the best for him, you have to give him, like, tough love, basically.
And in return, once I'm satisfied that you are genuinely repentant, I will consider a small monthly allowance.
Tough love right there. Like, you meet her standards, she gonna honor you back and give him a small monthly allowance. She didn't have to do that. Like, she really didn't have to. She could have just, like, kept the money all to Esther or between Esther and baby George. But she still loved him as a nephew and she still considered him as a family. So that's some real love coming from an aunt to her nephew. And he should not take advantage of this. He should not take advantage of his aunt. And hopefully he own his mistake and learn from this and not do it again.
I would sooner die in battle.
at the end of all this, I think it's better for him to continue the army life because they do travel a lot, and you know, Lady Denham doesn't have to worry about him being Sanditon all the time. He would rather die in the battle. So, not to be mean, like, go ahead, dude, like, die in the battle. It just shows that he is not a grown man. Like, he still has those childish behaviors, and he's just not owning up his mistake. Like, a real man should acknowledge his mistake, his sins, and make it right with the people that he hurt, and just, improve himself. But he's not willing to do that. So he's gonna be a child for the rest of his life if he keeps doing the things that he has been doing. And it's really sad, and it does look bad on the family as a whole. And that's why Lady Denham, like, part of her, she just doesn't want him near her and the family. She doesn't want him to be in Sanditon. So better off he go back to his job and just leave his family alone. Mr. Heybourne is riding on his horse. It's really interesting though, comparing Sydney and Mr. Heybourne. Like, Sydney, he tends to do wrestling fights and play card game and do some drink. Like, that were his hobbies, his preferences when he wanted to have fun. But Mr. Heybourne, he liked to take some fresh air and ride on his horse. And he's trying to think of what to do with his situation, his relationship with Charlotte after that hard conversation with Lennox. Hopefully, Mr. Heybourne doesn't give up on Charlotte. What Lennox said, it was so unnecessary. Like, he shouldn't overstep, he shouldn't intervene in Mr. Heybourne's personal life. Those things can creep into anyone's mind, and that would happen to Mr. Heybourne. Like, what Lennox said, it bothered him, and he needed to get fresh air and ride on his horse. That was one of his ways of having some space, try to have a stable mentality about what to do next, and if he should pursue a relationship with Charlotte. He just need to get his mind clear and to know exactly what he should do about Charlotte. Hopefully he doesn't lose confidence in himself. Hopefully he is not feeling discouraged after what Lennox told him. Hopefully he knows that he is a good man and that he deserves to be with a great woman like Charlotte. It sucks because Lennox, he basically like ruined the climax of the relationship between Charlotte and Mr. Heybourne. Like, they were just fine, and then just because Mr. Heybourne wanted to do a nice thing and thank Lennox for what he did about Leonora, and Lennox took an advantage of Mr. Heybourne's thank you and turned it into an attack against Mr. Heybourne and his relationship with Charlotte, just because Lennox lost the competition over Charlotte. Like, he lost a chance with Charlotte. So, of course, he annoyed and mad that Mr. Heybourne captured Charlotte's heart.
You had us worried sick, Miss Colborne.
Missy Whitley had been a really fun supporting character in season 2. She's a very trustworthy member of the household, of the family. Mr. Heybourne trusts her, and she knows a lot about the family and what they went through. At the same time, you will get to see that she is a fan of Charlotte and Mr. Heybourne to be together. But yeah, finally, Leonora arrives home safe and sound. Very sweet of Augusta hugging her. I just hope Augusta and Leonora maintain that close relationship over the years.
Mr. Colborne?
He wanted one last word with Colonel Lennox.
But all is well.
All is well.
Mrs. Whitley, she's loyal to the family, so that's why she was very concerned for Mr. Heybourne. But when Charlotte said all is well, that smile on her face, she meant including her current status of her relationship with Mr. Heybourne. So everything is like on cloud nine so far between Charlotte and Alexander.
Lockhart is a disgrace. If only I'd seen these sooner.
So I assume those are the suitcase of Sydney, and they must be reading over papers about the family fortune and how Lockhart is actually her husband. Yeah, so this is something that Georgiana will have to adjust to the fact that she does have a husband in Mr. Lockhart that she did kiss and fell for. That'll be a huge adjustment for her, like to transition into being a single woman again and letting Mr. Lockhart go, and just accepting the fact that he is her husband and that she needs to move on from him, and that, you know, there will be no future of them together. So it's another tough breakup for Georgiana, unfortunately.
Georgiana, there's something else you should know. Something Sidney mentioned in his letter to Tom.
What is it?
You see Mary kept looking over to the girls, especially Georgiana, and you can tell the vibe, like she meant to say something to tell Georgiana about something else, and then she finally had the courage to start the conversation with Georgiana about this other interesting fact that we're about to find out.
In the process of building his case against Mr. Lockhart, Sidney learned that, contrary to what you believe, your mother did not die when you were a child.
Another bombshell going on. Not only Georgiana finds out that Mr. Lockhart is her husband, her mom is still alive. Sydney, once again, Sydney did a lot of detective work in Antigua. Wow, Georgiana, she already had enough for the day, right? And now she hearing from Mary that her mom is still alive. There's happened a lot of life changes for her lately. Sydney's death, living with Mary and Tom, and Miss Hankin and Mr. Hankin and Mr. Lockhart, love relationship, and then Mr. Lockhart being her actual husband, trying to steal her money, and now her mom is still alive. So much things have happened in Georgiana's life since the beginning of season 1.
As recently as 5 years ago, she was still hoping you might be reunited. She left you this to remember her by.
5 years ago seemed a bit long ago, but at the same time, it felt like recent, so hopefully her mom is still alive. Emotions started to rise up within Georgiana. It's a lot for her to take in one day. That jewelry holds a sentimental value, and that adds to the emotion that Georgiana is feeling right now in this scene. She accepted the fact that her mom is no longer alive and that she will never have a chance to grow up with a mom beside her and help her in finding the right man to marry and so forth. Now she get a second chance that she might have her mom back, and that she might have many more times and moments to have with her mom. It's just an emotional moment for Georgiana.
Sidney tried to ascertain your mother's present whereabouts, but with no success. But there's every reason to believe that she's still alive.
nothing like a mom, right? The comfort from a mom, the love of a mother, especially after what Georgiana went through in season 1 and season 2. Like, she would do anything to have her mom back, and hopefully her mom is still alive. I love the mother love that Mary showed to her at the end of the scene when she hugged Georgiana. Mary is the closest thing to a mom that Georgiana has right now, and Allison being there as well, being supportive. This is a lot to take in. Again, Sydney did a lot of work for Georgiana. If he did not had that lawsuit against Mr. Lockhart, Sydney wouldn't have find out that Georgiana's mom was still alive. So thanks to Sydney, and now it's kind of like a full circle moment. Remember in season 1 when Georgiana arrived to Sanditon for the first time and she hated it and she complained to Sydney that she wanted to go home and Sydney said no. Now we understand much more at the end of season 2 compared to the end of season 1 as to why Sydney forced Georgiana to move out to Sanditon. And I think in season 2, Georgiana started to appreciate and love Sanditon a bit more compared to season 1. Hopefully her mom is still alive, and I think there will be a great storyline in season 3.
There you go. Read your friends.
I wanted to give some fair attention to Tom. I really didn't talk much about him in season 2, but I just want to mention I like how he battled against Lennox in the card game and won the game, and was able to repay the shopkeepers in town, pay off the debts, and actually to get himself off the gambling debt that he created himself when he played in the card game, casino game with Lennox early on in season 2. It was the game that he used to play with Sydney, and if you remember that scene in this episode when they opened Sydney's suitcase and they were going through his things and thinking of memories of him, and I forgot the name of the card game, but Tom mentioned like, oh, I never beat Sydney, like, you know, if he was still alive, I might have a chance to beat him in the game, and he played that game against Lennox, and he had the best of luck in that game against Lennox. I think the luck came from Sydney from above, and I'm glad that Tom won and that Lennox had to suffer the consequence.
You did the Parker name proud. You did Sydney proud.
No, Arthur, we did.
We will end it here and pick up in the next 2 videos, and then we're done with season 2. I feel so relieved that I can focus on part 3, 4, and 5 of episode 6 review after PBS approved my videos. Once again, shout out to PBS. But just to wrap it up, I'm just gonna say that Tom is, everything is going well for Tom. This is a good ending for him at the end of season 2. It's kind of like a closure moment, especially after Sydney's letter and how Sydney encouraged him in the letter to move forward and live life to the fullest. That motivated him and motivated Tom to have the courage to go after Lennox and settle the debt once and for all. And thankfully, the good luck was on Tom's side. And Arthur, he had been a constant support for Tom. No one can replace Sydney, but what I'm trying to say that Arthur stepped into a bigger role in season 2. He was like the second in charge of being Tom's brother, you know. Sydney was like Tom's right-hand man. But now Tom has a left-hand man who is Arthur, and he's a great brother, and it's nice that he stick around in Sanditon. He'll have like one back home. Their sister wasn't in season 2, so like where's she at? So I mean, Arthur could have like went back home or went away with their sister, but he stayed in Sanditon and supported Tom not only in Sydney's death, but in the business of Sanditon and the financial of Sanditon. So these two men have a great ending by the end of season 2 when it comes to the storyline, and I'm glad that Leonard lost. Leonard had a lot of bad luck in Sanditon, and I think it's time for him to move out of the town.